Hello, Internet. Welcome back to SnowCraft. Now, this should be, and I might even title it as such still, but this should be the 11th episode of SnowCraft, but if you are following this series, you might be wondering what happened to episode 10. It got corrupted, effectively. The video is fine, and the game audio is fine, but my audio from my microphone sounds like I'm talking into a fan the entire video. Every single bit of it got chopped up. I don't have any explanation as to why. I didn't change anything about my setup. It just decided not to record correctly. So it's going to be a lost episode, and unfortunately we actually did accomplish quite a few things in that lost episode. So I will kind of summarize real quick what it was that that got lost, and then we'll go on for our projects in this episode. Well, no, I will summarize for you what got lost in the last episode. Then I will show you what I did between that episode and this episode, and then we will move forward with our project for today. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so the big thing that we accomplished in the last episode was I set up and fought the Guardian of Gaia, or Gaia Guardian, whatever it is. I can never remember. But we did the big boss fight for Britannia. I've got the beacon disabled right now because we don't need it. That's not actually providing any bonuses. But we did fight that. I talked a little bit about how my intention was to use this glass to build kind of a Thunderdome style thing over top of the arena. But in some further testing that I did after the fact, it became apparent that it wasn't going to work the way that I wanted it to, because the ritual requires quite a lot of open space above it in order for the summon to actually occur. So if I built the dome shape that I was envisioning, the ritual wouldn't work, and I have to raise up the dome by a lot, and it started looking ridiculous. So I eventually gave up on that. That was largely what we accomplished in that episode, because I was actually having a lot of frame rate issues and technical issues. I thought that the footage would be salvageable, but apparently my frame rate issues turned into audio issues in the recording. So, yeah, it was bad. But that's basically what we got accomplished in that episode. Was we got Gaia fought a couple times. We got a good supply of the Gaia spirits, so we have options available. And I also went ahead and crafted the black dragon scale and then the mixed color dragon scale, so I'm now immune to poison and withering, which is awesome. I also, before that episode, I did a bunch of grinding out in a snow biome to find some blizz, to find blizz, which give you the cold shards, as well as fighting strays to get the ring of acceleration, which you combine that with your shulker heart, and that gets you the ring of free action. So I have that right now, and now that I have this one, and then after that episode, I went out to a desert biome and killed husks until I found a forbidden fruit. And I actually need to re-roll the bonus on this one because right now it's on armor, and I don't want it on armor. I want it on hearts. After that episode, I did a little bit of thinking and testing, and from what I can tell, a big part of the reason why my frame rate in this general area has been so terrible lately has been the immersive engineering conveyor belts. These guys right here. As much as I love these, and I love the way that they look, and I love how they move the items around, they're basically just water streams. And because of that, especially when I have this many entities moving around on them, it causes extreme amounts of lag. And as you can see, my frame rates back here, before I could barely even walk around back here, especially when recording. But now, you know, I'm getting a little bit of hitches, but that's because Aroma is doing a backup. But for the most part, I can move around back here without too much trouble. And as you can see, I went through and I swapped all of the conveyor belts out for these Ender IO item conduits. However, I have a bunch of them where the conduits just for whatever reason refuse to connect to the cloche. I don't know why they don't want to connect to the cloche. It is very annoying, and basically what I have to do is I have to go through, take everything out of the cloche, break it, and then put it back and put everything back in it. Because if I break it when there's seeds inside it, the seeds are gone. They get deleted. Very annoying. So that's what I've been doing there. It does really seem to be helping. You can tell there is still quite a bit of lag, but it is a definite improvement. And it's a little bit easier to get around back here now too, since you can just walk over these conduits. But yeah, I've changed out almost all of the conveyor belts with these Ender IO conduits. There's a few more that I still need to do. Like back here, I still need to do that, and that just kicked on, didn't it? Yeah. So little things like that. Like I still need to replace this conveyor belt with an Ender IO container. I've swapped out this one that takes the fibers out, so now that is handled by an Ender IO as well. And I just need to redo and basically just do the rest of those. But it definitely is improving. I've also gotten several more of them set up, as you can see. So I pretty much have all of my generating seeds are now set up. This one is doing the star metal, aquamarine, and some boron. I have this one. Okay, I believe you've seen that one. This is the other new one that I did. So this is the one doing nether stars, and nether star is a two-step process. So it takes the essence, turns it into shards. There, it just did one. The shards are then turned into the actual stars. And then for the other recipe there, I have it making rock crystal from Astral Sorcery. And weirdly enough, this recipe actually creates the ore, not the actual crystals. And I think that's just because when you break the ore, you get several random crystals. And then these two over here are doing the rest of my metals that I'm going to need a bunch of. I have done a little bit of work downstairs, not a whole lot, to be honest. Just a little bit, running some more cables. Mostly what I did down here was getting the those new cloches that I set up, wired up with their level emitters. Ran a couple new cables around, and I peeled off an entire smart cable or dense cable, which I have going up through this pillar up onto the roof. My intention with that is I'm going to set up the nuclear craft fusion reactor up there, so I'm going to need a way to get items in and out of it eventually, and we're also going to need a way to move power around, and I might end up using some of the peer-to-peer conduits to move power. Just kind of depends on how that works, because I want to get rid of these cables. These wires, I believe, are the other thing that is causing me so much lag, because these are actually entities that are up there. Like they're not blocks, they're entities, and I think that's where another good chunk of my lag is coming from. So if we can replace those with something that's a little more lag friendly, that should help greatly, because I have, I've got a lot of wires all over the place because I got machines everywhere that need power. So you probably saw it when I was talking about the Guardian ring back here, but I've done a bunch of work with Astral Sorcery. This is the second or third, I believe this is the third altar. So we've got the multi-block structure that supports it. I've created the attunement, what's it called? Attunement altar and the resulting formation that it requires. I have, in fact, attuned myself already. I forget what the name of the constellation is. We can look right quick. Yeah, so that one. I'm not going to try and say it. I'm sure it's out there, but yeah, basically it's the building one. So the more things that you build, the more your XP bar over here will go up, which you can't see because my face is over it. Hold on a second. Now you can see it. So my XP bar right here will go up slowly as I build things, and then we can collect ourselves more and more and more perks and slowly fill out this whole tree, as well as finding new and exciting things as we level up through there. But the main reason why it'll open, there we go. The main reason why I wanted to get myself to this stage of astral sorcery is because I get access to, I'm in the wrong menu. So the main reason why I wanted to get myself up to this point of astral sorcery is because I get the advanced sextant. And the nice thing about this, even though it is kind of a pain to make, this thing will let me find things like ocean monuments. And ocean monuments are, you know, very good because the last stone that I need for the ultimate power, as it were. But the last thing that I need for the, you know, the ultimate power basically is vitamins, which grants immunity to weakness and mining fatigue. And these drop from those guys, the Elder Guardians. They are a guaranteed drop, which is nice. So I will get at least one when I kill an Elder Guardian, but I gotta go find an Elder Guardian. But then once we get our hands on that, we will then have everything that we need to make an Ankh charm. We already have the sunglasses, we have the Ring of Free Action, we just did what was necessary to get the mixed color dragon scale, we have a forbidden fruit, so we just need to go get the vitamins. The Ankh charm grants us immunity to 99% of negative status effects. I believe it's all vanilla negative status effects it renders you immune to. I think there's just one or two of the modded ones that it doesn't. But it's most of them. And then, of course, we can take that, combine it with our obsidian shield to make the Ankh shield, which is basically you're done. Like, you're immune. Partial fire resistance, immunity to knockback, and most negative status effects when held or equipped in a bubble slot. And it also functions as a regular shield. You can use obsidian to repair it. You can also enchant these. So, but that's the plan. I'm not going to do it right now to make that sextant, because it is a very grindy process to upgrade your sextant. If you've never seen one of these guys, it's not going to work terribly well right now because it's daytime. But this is basically what it is. You look around, you'll see a little colored dot. Then you can hold shift, you get your cursor back, and you'll drag one of these items over onto that dot, and that'll select it. And then as long as you're holding it in your hand, that dot will be visible in the night sky. I think just the night sky. Yeah, just the night sky. So it'll be visible in the night sky. And then you can basically use that to figure out where you need to go. It's really handy. Yeah, but I've been busy with astral sorcery. I've been growing one of these because I'm not really sure what they do. I've never actually grown one of these crystal clusters before, so I figured, why not? Let's grow it and see what it does. But what I want to do today, what I want to do right now, actually, is you can see I've got my telescope here, just kind of sitting in the grass. I want a place to put this. And here's the other thing too. There's an upgrade for the telescope, the Observatory. It is really expensive to build, as you can tell. Requires a lot of materials. It requires a specific constellation to be crafted under, and it requires a bunch of extra powders to be placed around it. And that's a complicated recipe that we can get over, or we can talk about when we get closer to it, because it's the iridescent altar, which is but I love these structures. That's my favorite thing about astral sorcery, really, is the structures that are required to make the blocks function. But that's kind of what I'm getting at here with the telescope. It doesn't have a structure. Even the observatory doesn't actually have a structure. You'd think so because it's called an observatory, which is normally a big building, but it's not. It doesn't require anything like that. It's just the little tiny, well, it's not tiny, but it's just the one little machine basically that you put down and then you use to find these last few constellations. There's no structure, and I think there should be. Yeah, that's another thing that I love about it. When you find the constellations, they actually will highlight in the sky for you at all times. It's I don't know. I like astral sorcery. But anyway, I keep getting distracted. So here's the thing. We are going to build ourselves an observatory. I've done some messing around in Creative World, and I've come up with a design that I like. So we are going to, I'm going to pull together some resources, and I've got some screenshots open on my second monitor, and we're going to drop into a time lapse, and I'm going to build this for you guys. We're going to put it probably like right about somewhere around here, and should be pretty cool. So yeah, see you in a bit when we're done. So there we go. There is the observatory build that I came up with. I rather like it. It definitely does fit in with the rest of the astral sorcery stuff. Like, it's a little bit bigger than any of the other astral sorcery builds that we have over here, but like, this is going to grow quite a bit. It's got some roof bits that'll eventually end up on it. This is going to stay the same. And then there's a couple of other structures that need to be built as well that I just haven't gotten to yet. But I do think it fits in nicely. I like the soul lanterns there. The blue there kind of matches the lighting. And then, of course, the sea lanterns in the walls. And I've got one in the floor in here as well as in the ceiling. Really also just add to the ambiance of this structure. I was originally going to put the elevator in the center of the structure and have you going up and down in the middle. The problem is that... Are you serious? This is an axe. Anyway, originally I had intended for this block to be the elevator to take you up. The problem is that doing so puts you right in the middle, and the middle is right where our telescope goes. Can't really have an elevator where the telescope is. Doesn't work too well. So this works pretty well, and it's kind of one of those things too. I was thinking about a little bit as I was building this here. One of the problems with building things in creative mode is that you have unlimited access to every block in Minecraft, and especially when mods start getting involved, it can be really difficult to know which blocks are difficult to make and which blocks are really easy to make. So, like, I threw these stairs in here because, like, hey, this is just a cool looking block that doesn't get used very often, and it goes with the kind of dark, spacey kind of theme that's going on up here. But these things are actually kind of expensive to make. I mean, not for me because I've got things generating and auto crafting, but yeah, those are actually kind of expensive to make. But yeah, so this is my observatory, and it does still work. Not right now, obviously, because it's during the day. The glass does not actually block the telescope, which is nice. I have tested it at night. We'll give it another test here in well, in a little while when it becomes night here as well. We'll make sure that we test it to make sure that we can still see everything. And this glass here does produce light, so we don't actually have to worry about any mobs spawning up here. Although I think I'm still within range of the megatorch. There's actually a megatorch underneath that beacon. Right over here, so we shouldn't have any mobs spawning anywhere in the area. Mostly they spawn over there and then they walk across the river and come over here and try to kill me. Alright, so I think that about wraps things up for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm really sorry about the previous episode. Like I said, the audio just is I don't like listening to myself normally, and trying to listen to it when it's all choppy it was just even worse. So I'm not gonna subject you guys to that. If you do want to hear it anyway, let me know. I can go ahead and edit it down into a more normal episode and then upload it anyway. I will probably do it as an unlisted video, so if that is something you are interested in, let me know down in the comments, and then come back here and check the description of this video, because I will put a link to the unlisted if that is something you guys want to see a little bit later on down the road. But otherwise, that's going to be it for me for this episode. I'm going to do a little bit more work here with Astral Sorcery. There's a few more things, a little bit more grindy buildy things that are just done in a crafting table and would be terribly interesting to watch, like getting that the sextant upgraded and a couple of other machines here and there, as well as upgrading my crafting table back there in the back, and getting the observatory built, actually, and replacing the telescope. But the next big project that I'm probably going to be working on between episodes is going to be setting up our nuclear-craft fission reactor. I do that all the time. I switch the two. We are eventually going to build a fusion reactor as well, but we're going to start with the fission reactor. And my plan for that is to build it right back there, right behind my head right now. Not this head, my Minecraft character's head. We're going to build it right back there on the second floor. Right up there on the second floor. And more than likely in the next episode, there will at least be the shell. I don't know that I'll have all the internals put into it yet. I might do that in a time lapse. Kind of depends on what design I end up going with for the interior. There is a website that I will link to in that video. I'm not going to do it now. That will give you a little bit more information about building nuclear craft interiors, the math of it all. We can talk about that in the next episode. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. And that's a little bit of an idea of what I plan to do for the next episode. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that next episode. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see the ruined footage from the last episode. I do still have it, like I said. If that is something that you're interested in, let me know, and then come back here and check the description of this video for that link. You know what to do. If you like my little shrine here, let me know as well. If there's anything you think if there's anything that you think I could do to make it look a little bit nicer or improve it in any way, let me know. I'm always welcome to hear your guys' suggestions. But until the next video, have yourselves a wonderful day, wonderful evening, whatever time of day it happens to be for you. Hope it's going well for you. I will see you in the next episode. Until then, happy Minecrafting.